Hello everyone, this is episode 8 of ranking every single WCA event, and today we're doing which one has the coolest name. As you probably know by now in this series, we're going to be ranking all 17 events across 6 tiers, S being the highest, E being the lowest, and I'm also going to try to sort each event within the same tier, and then these rankings will determine the number of points that each event's going to get, which is going to go into an overall spreadsheet at the end of the video to decide the quote-unquote best event. Again, this is really just for a bit of fun. I've actually updated some of the logos. As you can see, Skewb here and Square 1 have different logos because they were a bit hard to see. But anyways, let's get started. I think when you think about something that has a cool name, you think about it being iconic, epic, and in general pretty cool, as the name suggests. So some of the events that I don't think really have that cool names are the N by Ns, specifically 2x2, 4x4, and 6x6. Those even number cubes I really just don't think have very cool names. Odd number cubes are a bit more iconic, like 3x3, 5x5, 7x7. I think those are more recognized in the world as important numbers, but in terms of the even number cubes, unfortunately I'm gonna have to put those in E. So that's 2x2, 4x4, and 6x6. In terms of within E, I think 6x6 sounds the coolest, maybe because it's the biggest number, or 2x2. I really don't know. I think these three are pretty much evenly bad. I'm just gonna put 6x6 at the top and 2x2 at the bottom. The odd numbers, 3x3, 5x5, and 7x7, I really do think they have more going for them. I don't know, I think we just perceive them as more epic numbers in general, and that's what makes their names more iconic. I think these N by Ns are pretty cool in terms of the name and number compared to all the other events. I think I'm gonna put maybe 3x3 in like C. In terms of 5x5 and 7x7, 5 and 7 are like the pinnacle of numbers, I think. Let's put it in A tier, I think, these two. And I think in terms of which one's more epic, 7 or 5, definitely 7. You know, when they say, oh, pick a number between 1 and 10, like 7 is the number. Now on the other end of the scale with the less epic names, I think Clock is one that is not that epic. I think it's got something going for it where it's pretty unintuitive what Clock is as an event, but for the name itself, I don't think it's really that cool. I'm debating between D and E tier right now, and I think I'm gonna put it in D tier just because Clock is a really simple name. 2x2, 4x4, 6x6, they're relatively long events which sort of dilute their coolness, if you get what I mean, but Clock, it's really simple, sharp, and that way I think it's slightly better than these big cubes. In the same token as Clock, Skewb suffers from a similar thing where it is quite simple and unintuitive what it is. So in that case, it's quite low. It is short and sharp like Clock, it's just Skewb, one syllable, and I think that raises it up slightly. I also think that the word Skewb, even though it's simple, it's got some weird connotations. It's quite a quirky name, and in that token, I can see someone thinking it's kind of cool just because of how weird it is. It's equal to Clock, however, it's a more quirky name, which means I'm going to put it in C. I think I'm going to put it below 3x3. Okay, now doing the 3x3 variations, I definitely think the words blindfold and one hand do make the names cooler. There is an argument that they overcomplicate the name, however, I generally think just putting the word one hand or blindfold, people can really visualize what the event entails. It's not just solving a 3x3, but it's solving a 3x3 with a twist. Both cubers and non-cubers will think the name is cooler. So definitely blindfold and one hand will go above 3x3. So I'm going to put both of these in B tier. Probably put blindfold above one hand just because doing something difficult blindfolded does sound cool, but one hand is not far behind. Fewest moves, on the other hand, I feel like there's an argument that fewest moves is both really cool and not very cool. The association people might have with solving something with a low number of moves, that might be cool, but then again, just solving something for the sake of move count instead of speed, that can make it feel worse. I do think when balancing it all out, the fewest moves does feel kind of underwhelming. It sort of suffers the same thing with these big cubes where yes, it's got the word 3x3 in it, but then it's got fewest moves competition or challenge, or even just you saying fewest move. The short and sharp effect is just nowhere to be seen in FMC, and if we're talking about the name itself, I don't think it's that good. So I'm going to put FMC in D tier below Clock. Now you might be wondering which event is going to go in S tier. We have 6 events left, and I'm only going to put one event in S tier, and just because we put 5x5 in A tier, as I've said, the number 5 is really cool, we're going to put 5x5 blindfolded in S tier. I'm pretty sure this makes sense. Blindfold is cooler than non-blindfold. 5x5 is one of the coolest names because of its number, therefore 5x5 blindfold goes in S tier. I think that's pretty self-explanatory. And 4x4 blindfold, yes, it suffers the same fate as 4x4, but we're putting the word blindfold in it, so I'm going to move it up one tier from E tier to D tier. There is an argument that we can push it up to C tier, but I really don't think so. 4x4 is not that cool as a name. That's why we're not going to put it any higher than D. I'm going to put it at the top of D because blindfold connotation is really powerful. I think 4x4 blindfold, because it's a bigger cube, blindfold means even more, which means I think it's indisputable that 4x4 blindfold is at the top of D. Alright, Mega Minx. The name Megaminx literally has the word mega in it. I think there's nothing cooler than the word Megaminx. I really think that the name, if you derive its roots, it's minx. It's a mega minx. It's a minx that is mega. Like, you can't get a cooler name than that. So it's definitely going in A tier. Is it better than 7x7 and 5x5? I'm not sure. I'll probably put it at the bottom of A tier. Actually, I'm gonna put it at the top of A tier. I was gonna say because Megaminx is a longer name, but 7x7 and 5x5, they've got a few syllables. Megaminx, it's 3 syllables, I think. But overall, it's a cooler name than 7x7 and 5x5. There is an argument to put Mega in S tier as well, but I just don't think it really contends with 5x5 Blindfold. Pyraminx. I think the sound Pyra sounds kind of cool. So if you just said Pyra, it's like, oh, it's sort of the thing with Skew where it's quirky, it's short. Pyra has the connotations of pyramid, you know, that could be kind of cool. But Pyraminx together, it just feels kind of underwhelming. I don't know, do you get what I mean? Fairest comparison here is like Skewb. Skewb, it's such a simple, weird name, but Pyraminx, it's like, I don't think it's got the same effect as Skewb. So I'm gonna have to put it in D tier. I think I'm gonna put it above Clock just because of the Pyra connotation, and Clock and FMC is not that impressive anyways. I honestly think Square One is a pretty mediocre name. Yes, it's not the shortest thing. I really think that doesn't affect it. It's kind of short and it's kind of cool, but it's also not that cool. I talked about odd numbers with 7x7 and 5x5 and 3x3 being really cool, and the fact that you have like square and then it's the number 1 square. I don't know. In that case, I think it's mediocre. There's an argument for D, but I'm gonna put it in C and I'm gonna put it mid C tier. I think that's where it belongs. And finally, we finish with Multi-Blind. Obviously, Multi-Blind is a really cool event. It's really impressive and pretty epic. Those are all the 3 things that I'm categorizing this list on. However, the name itself, I don't think encaptures what Multi-Blind really is. Obviously, you could say solving as many cubes blindfolded in a row. That is a horrible name, but I think that encaptures the coolness of the name much better than just Multi-Blind. Multi-Blind could mean anything. Just solving 2 cubes blindfolded. Could mean solving a cube blindfolded, then taking a blindfold off, memorizing another cube, and then solving that. If it was the event, it would definitely be an S tier for coolness, but just the name already, I don't think encaptures that very well. I think it's like in par with 3 blind. They've both got the word blindfold in it. I think it's sort of comparable. I think there's a bit of bias because I am comparing Multi-Blind with a really cool event and the name is really not that cool. I'm trying to not think about the event itself. Someone were to say Multi-Blind without me having any idea what Multi-Blind was, it's not the coolest thing. I'm gonna put it in B tier. We can put it above 3x3 Blindfold just because the word multi might have some cool associations. Alright, and that's the tier list for the coolest name, but don't go yet because we're gonna put this all in a spreadsheet and see the current rankings. Alright, we've updated the spreadsheet, and as you can see, we have in this column episode 8, the event with the coolest name. The number of points that an event gets is equal to the number of events in a lower tier. So our winner for this tier list, 5x5 Blindfold, was in S tier and it got 16 points because it was the only event in S tier, which means all 16 other events were in lower tiers. In these columns here, we have the number of times each event got a certain tier. So if we look at B tier over here, we can see that One Hand, Clock, and Megaminx all got B tier 3 times. And then finally, what we really care about, the total number of points and their associated ranking. So at the moment, in first place is Multi-Blind with 80 points, second place is 3 Blind with 72 points, and third place is 3x3 with 68 points. Oh my god, that is a tongue twister to say. And in close contention, we have Megaminx and One Hand with 65 points each in 4th. Anyway, that's really it for this video. We have some cool tier lists coming up, and if you haven't seen the rest of the videos, please consider watching them. Alright, thank you and see ya.